This is Power 102 FM and streaming live on power102fm.com. Sexplosion is on Power 102 and now on new days and at new times. The country's most informative sex education program, Sexplosion, is on every Thursday from 7 to 9 p.m. and Fridays from 9 p.m. to midnight with Dr. Raj, the guru of sex in the Caribbean.
A lot of times we think that sex is totally below the waist. It is not below the waist. It starts in the brain. Your largest sex organ that you possess is your brain.
Tune in for discussion on all sexual matters. Sexplosion on Power 102, empowering you.
Building can do.
Is it?
Well, thank you for staying able to some Power 2.1 FM and a very special nighttime greetings to you. Special thanks as always to 9 Miles International. Well, bringing our time, it's now 6 minutes after 9 o'clock, and we do welcome you to Sexplosion with the only sexologist in the Caribbean, Dr. Raj of Total Image and the Adult Therapy Center, which is located out at St. Augustine, and there he treats all sexual dysfunctions in both male and female. A very special nighttime greetings to you, family. How are you today? You look fresh.
Pleasant good evening to you. I look fresh.
Yeah,
Fresh like I want to sleep.
You look like a fruit on a tree where you can pick.
What a description.
So since I last saw you, I missed you yesterday.
Yeah, well,
I know I usually walk into the studio to do the night shifts on you.
not when TKR playing.
Huh?
Not when TKR playing. They won't expect me to come into the studio.
They weren't expecting to see you.
They have bad expectation. They know me. Win, lose, or draw, die my team, you know.
Yeah, well, I believe in the draws.
They believe in you lose.
yeah. But as I mentioned to you before we came on here, you know, there's a saying that you cannot peak early, and I think that is the little.
You think so, then?
You don't think so?
No. We unfortunately we lost a good strike bowler, and then we had we have 2 bowlers there that should be playing.
Okay. That's why I always say that they should have selected you to make a selection of the team.
Why?
Because
No, in my opinion, they shouldn't be playing because they have lost it since the last game. So They're not as effective.
But what do you think? But what do you think our chances are?
We're gonna come in the first two.
Because I see the little teams in the back there kind of squeezing in now.
No, if you mathematically they can't squeeze us out. We're in the first two.
The first two.
Yeah, mathematically we are in the first two, but we're going to win our next 3 games. I know we're worried about.
I like to.
Well, not 3. We're going to win 3, 4, 5. 5 games.
5 games.
Yeah, that's how you win the championships.
Okay. Yeah. That's great.
Yeah.
But I know you're into the cricket a lot. Before
You
we
think
get
so?
into the sex thing. But don't you think, watching the games being played, don't you think that we perform better when we are playing in home here?
No, last year we didn't.
Uh-huh.
No. Last year we didn't perform better at home. So you can't say that. You have to look at history.
Uh-huh.
So the point is that we playing good enough cricket, but we weren't good enough last night. We really messed up. We made some fundamental mistakes, and hopefully we wouldn't make them again.
I think what we have to do now is to take the team to the clinic.
I think what we have to do now is drop 2 men.
Okay. Well, you're dropping people now, eh?
Of course.
Okay.
We have somebody call in
No,
already?
that's-
Oh,
Family
okay.
have the line locked.
So let's get to sex. Well, today I was in, well, Tuesday was a holiday, as you know,
Oh, yeah.
right? So Republic Day, and then on, I normally go to clinic on a Tuesday in South, go to Princestown, and then from Princestown I go to Davie. So today I went to Princestown,
Uh-huh.
spent some time in Princestown, and then from Princestown I went to Davie, and a lot of patients came out, so which was good, and we're doing pretty well there.
Yeah.
I find a lot of people are
So
really.
getting a full, beautiful response then.
Yes, the response is excellent, and even remember I spoke. I don't know if you recall this last week. I spoke about our private shopping.
Oh, yeah, viewing.
Yeah, private viewing and private shopping, where you can call, make an appointment,
Yeah.
and someone will meet with you at a particular time on a particular day. It doesn't have to be the days of the business opening.
Mm-hmm.
And you can do private shopping for half an hour or whatever time you choose to do it, so that you can talk to the person, the salesperson. They will give you an idea about the product, what it does, what's the best. Now, one of the things I have to warn people about, you see, when you're buying a product and you're talking to the CSR, try to follow the advice of the CSR. The CSR is not making a sale because they don't get a commission on sale. They get a flat salary. What they're trying to do is give you the best possible advice. So when you buy a product, you get enough out of it to be satisfied, and you get so much more out of it that it lasts you a long time.
Okay.
Simple things, because they are trained in that area. What we do is we talk to the CSRs, and we tell them what goes with particular product, what type of lubrication you should be using. There are some products you don't use silicone lubrication. You have to use a water-based lubrication. There are some products that use a natural lube. There are some products that you must use a toy cleaner. There are some products you have to wash it and store it in a particular way because of the material that it's made from. So when they give you the advice and tell you, well, this is what you need to do, this is what you need to put, this is what you should be buying, follow the advice of the CSR. I know a lot of times persons are watching at their pockets. We know that. So they try to buy the cheapest item, or they try to buy something that is going to give them some satisfaction. But the level of satisfaction that you're going to get from a cheap item, and if you put out just a little more, you get much more satisfaction. And there's a reason for that. The cheaper items are made as a disposable item.
Okay.
The companies that manufacture these things know everything that is manufactured has a life. I'll give you a good example. When the Korean motor cars came out, I'm not going to call any particular brand, when they came out with motor cars, they gave a 5-year warranty. Do you know why? Because they knew after 5 years, parts will just disintegrate and stop working. They knew that. So there was a life built in the product. If you don't believe me, I'll give you another example. Once I went to buy a product from a very popular electronic organization, store. And the guy asked me, he said, do you want the 1-year warranty, the 3-year warranty, or the 5 years warranty? Now, of course, if you want the 1-year warranty, you pay X amount of dollar. If you want the 3 years warranty, you pay X amount of dollars. And if you want the 5-year warranty, you pay more money. But I knew I only wanted the item for about a year. So I say, I'll take the 1 year warranty. Would you believe on the exact date I buy the product? No, after I told him that, he went in the back of the store and did what he had to do and brought back the product for me. And after exactly 1 year, on the anniversary of that product, it stopped working. The exact date. And that's when I knew that they tinker with the product. They tinker with the product. Now, imagine I had said 3 years and he had gone to the showroom, the stock room or the technical room. He would have programmed that item to last 3 years. And 3 years only. The same item. That's, let's say I'm paying $40 for it US.
Yeah.
But I would have paid another $40 for a 3 year warranty. But on the anniversary of that third year, it would have stopped working. And if I had buy the 5 year warranty, which is double the price of the product, so you're paying $80 plus $40, which is $120, it would have lasted 5 years. But it come like you buy 3 products or 4 products. So you understand?
That's the way it works.
So the manufacturers know that when we put a particular device in this shell, they know that that has 10,000 vibrations. And they know 10,000 vibrations is only, if the person uses it regularly, is only going to last a month. So it's disposable. After a month, it can't work.
No use.
No technician could bring that back. It's done. Now the very same product, you'll see a little more expensive and you'll wonder why. Of course, they'll do something with the body and whatnot to change it. But it is the motor inside. They'll put a more powerful motor and a longer lasting motor.
Okay. Yeah.
So we try to explain that to the CSRs. So when someone comes to buy a product, they are told these things that, here, what, this product is cheap, yes, but it's not going to last you long. It's like buying a doll. Now, you remember long ago they had the rubber ducky and the blow up Santa Claus, and everybody had a blow up Santa Claus for Christmas.
Oh, yeah.
Remember that?
Oh, yes.
A short Santa Claus, about 18
yeah.
inches, and you blow it up and you put it in front of your house.
Yeah.
Everybody and the dog had that. Now, that material doesn't last. If you remember any little thing and it punctures and it goes down, before the Christmas finish, well, you know Christmas is long in Trinidad.
1 year.
Yeah, but before Christmas finish, you see, it will turn and going down. So every day you have to blow it up. The same thing with the ducky, the duck that is to sell, and they have a big piece of metal underneath it.
Well, the yellow ones.
The yellow ones, right? Blow up the duck. Same thing. Now you can get a doll made out of that material. Similarly, you're doing the very same thing to get the size. You blow up into it, behind the head or something, you blow up into it and you cook it just the same way. All it has is a vagina, a mouth opening, or anus opening, all three. But that doll is a very cheap doll. That doll is less than $200-300. The more expensive one, which is like the cyber skin and it feels like human, it has real breasts that you could actually touch, it has a nipple that flicks, and it's more expensive. And then you have dolls that are lifelike now, that looks like an actual human being, feels like an actual human being, and does things that a human being may not even do it for you. That costs tens and $15,000 and $20,000. So you understand why there is a disparity. Now, I always tell, you know, I started this thing with the pump, the FAMOS pump system, where we have a wall created for that, where a person can come and read everything about penis enhancement and penis development and whatnot, and choose the items that they want suitable to themselves. But the majority of the time, the individual will choose the cheapest pump. Because they tell themselves, if you have a cheap pump and you have an expensive pump, it will work the same way, but it does not. The cheap pump will not have the amount of pressure to suck the air out of the vacuum to give you that pull on the penis. So you are spending money for, let's say you buy a pump for $400. It's going to last you maybe a month or two. And if you buy a pump for $800 to $1,200, it's going to last you throughout you exercising your penis for development. Isn't it wiser to buy the one for $1,200?
Well, of course, yeah.
But sometimes when you tell someone that, they feel that you're trying to
Yeah.
sell them the more expensive thing, but you're trying to give them the best advice. Even if you go to the United States and you go to one of these adult stores in the United States, they have the cheap pump, the moderately cheap pump, the very cheap pump, and after that the mid-range ones, and then you have the very expensive ones. So you have a choice. You could buy whichever one you want to buy. But at the end of the day, it's what's going to work for you.
That's the bottom line, all right.
And there are a number of factors that goes into buying anything. And this is what consumers should know, especially when it comes to adult toys, adult equipment, anything for you to use as an adult. First and foremost, it has to do with your age. How old are you? What do you want out of it? What product is going to be most comfortable for you given your age, your size, and other factors? So when we come back from the break, we'll go into some details on that.
Power 102 FM presents Budget 2020. Budget 2020. Budget 2020. What will Budget 2020 mean for your life? And how you provide for your family in the coming financial year. Join us on Power 102 FM for Budget 2020. Informative interviews every morning on the Power Breakfast Show with the country's top economists and financial experts, including Colin Edel, David Abdullah,
Fulani Matuta,
Mariano Brown,
Diane Haddad,
Ravi Suryadevara, Daphne Bartlett, Dr. Roger Hussain, Joseph Remy, and many more. Budget 2020. Budget 2020. Monday, 7th October, with our pre- and post-budget panels in studio breaking down the numbers, analyzing the impact on you, and taking your calls and live responses and reactions from stakeholders. What does the next year hold for you and your family? Budget 2020 on Power 102, with live coverage of the AmCham's post-budget analysis and panel discussion, the opposition leader's response, and coverage of the Budget 2020 debate. Budget 2020, live on Power 102, empowering you.
Hola, ¿cómo estás? La invitación es para este y todos los sábados al Bar Park, el rincón latino de Venezuela, en Trinidad y Tobago. Este y todos los sábados, con el sabor que nos caracteriza, con ricas empanadas y ofertas en bebidas, premios y concurso. No te lo puedes perder. Ya sabes, Bar Park, el rincón latino en Trinidad, papá.
Introducing Izzo. News travels fast. In today's fast-paced world, access to accurate, up-to-date information 24/7 is essential to making critical decisions in your life. Izzo is the Caribbean's newest and most innovative news source, giving you a Caribbean perspective on politics, crime, business, sport, entertainment, technology, and special investigative features. Izzo, IZZSO. Izzo, your information source, designed for your lifestyle. Download the Izzo app for iOS and Android devices, and visit our website at www.izzo.com. Izzo, news travels fast.
I want to continue. It's all about giving our listeners what they want and expect from a good radio program when it comes to sex education. Right here on Power 2.1 FM with the only sexologist in the Caribbean, Dr. Raj of Total Image and the Adult Therapy Center, which is located at St. Augustine. May I remind you that this program may contain material that is not suitable for children. Parental guidance are therefore advised.
Now, folks, if you want to send me a question, don't do it through Facebook or Instagram. Please send it on my cell phone. It's a bit difficult to read, especially since the camera is it's far from me. So send me the messages on my cell phone, 740-1961, please. Not through WhatsApp, not through Instagram or Facebook. And I have to reiterate, the private shopping thing that we're doing, you don't have to pay anything extra in.
Okay.
There's no extra cost to you, you know. It is just to facilitate persons, couples who want to be private, persons who are working and they can't make it to the store on time. It is to facilitate individuals who want to shop
Yeah.
in an adult environment safely, confidentially, at any time convenient to them and to the store.
And privately.
Privately. That's all. So you don't pay anything extra. You don't have to pay extra $50 or $20 or whatnot. Now I expect that if you come in to do private shopping, you'll buy something. Because the worker has to come out, the worker has to get paid, and other things have to happen. But you don't pay anything extra.
But I'm glad you made that point, because some people might be thinking in terms
That they have to pay something extra, correct.
So that's good news.
But this is exclusive to the Debe Penal area, you know. The private shopping is exclusive to that area, and I'll tell you why. If you want to do shopping private and discreetly along the east-west corridor, you just go to Total Image in St. Augustine. They open from 8 o'clock in the morning to 10 o'clock at night. You can go anytime, and it's very private, it's very discreet. You can park your car where no one could see it. And you shop discreetly and privately, and all the CSRs there know what they are about.
Well, great, yeah.
So we only do this at the Debe branch for the Debe Penal area. But it doesn't mean to say we don't have, we have had customers come from all over. All over. From Couva, Shagbonas. I have even had, today I had a client come from Charlieville. So from all over Trinidad, we have people coming to the Debe branch. Because it's easy, it's at the end of the highway. If you know how to come off at the end of the highway, there are 4 ways to get into Debe. 4 ways. The fastest and easiest way is, well, you really have to know that it's a shortcut.
Yeah.
And the roads are really bad. But other than that, the other 2 ways, easy sailing. Easy sailing. So there are 4 different ways to get into, you wonder where is the 3rd way. The 3rd way comes into one of the way. Where you pass by the way they sell all the doubles and whatnot.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Yeah.
4 easy way to get into the Debe Penal
So
store.
it's not difficult.
No, not that. I tell you, a blind man turned backwards could see it.
Well, that's me.
Yeah. Hi, good evening, Dr. Raj and Junior, Jennifer and Jason locked on. Good evening to you all. How are you? Hi, Dr. Raj. Rishi is on from London. Good evening to you. Now, I was asked a question earlier today, and I was asked to explain it on the air because apparently there's a group of individuals who listen to this program, and when they get together to work, wherever they work, they discuss what we talk about and whatever topic we bring up and whatever comes up during the program. And I guess it's the topic of the day for them. So I was asked a particular question, if I could only find it here, and I would read it out. I wonder if the person who sent it is okay. I got it. And also, there is a young man who is also a client of the Adult Therapy Center, and I gave him some pointers because he is in a new marriage, meaning that his marriage is not more than 10 years old, new marriage. And he wanted to have some pointers on things that he should be doing with his wife and whatnot to get over the little quarrel and bothersome and all the little things that is be happening after the 7-year age goes and whatnot, or even before that. Because sometimes you get caught up with having children in the relationship and whatnot, and you pay more attention to them than yourself or your spouse. And he says when he listens to the program, he hears some of the things that we say to do. Like one time we were talking about oral sex, and we talk about using ice during oral sex, and you see when he did that to his wife, she was blown away by it. So, yes, there are lots of pointers during this program. That's why we put the program up on YouTube. We have a YouTube channel where persons could go and listen to the program after. Not on the same day, but after, a week after, a month after, a year after.
Yeah, but if someone, okay, like for instance, for an example, tonight's program, if tomorrow someone want to go into YouTube and view the program, They just, what do they do?
They just go to Dr. Raj, the sexologist. That's it.
As simple as
Dr. Raj, DRRAJ, the sexologist. And it comes up. I think right now we have about 80 something videos running. We have a lot of viewers on those programs. You can see how many persons have viewed the program. I think persons may comment on the program, on the program that they have viewed. So it is helpful. Now I know there are times that we digress a bit on the program when we talk about something unrelated to sex and whatnot. I know that. But excuse me. You can't be talking about sex all the time and not bring living and human nature and interaction and all these things into it. Sex is not just two persons whipping out their organs and having sex. That is not sex. Sex is interaction, sex is flirtation, sex is seduction. There are a number of factors that goes with sex. Otherwise, sex would be so easy and boring that you lose interest in it.
Oh, yes,
If sex was easy, then you would lose interest in sex. It will not have that mystique and flavor that it has, and that way of creating something within you, that when you see something, when you hear something, when you talk to a particular person, how you feel. Now, there's no physical contact, but you feel something for that person, him or her, simply because the person says, hi, good morning. And you're like, yeah, boy, she thinking about me, or he thinking about me. You understand? So sex is a little more than just the physical act. So we talk about the environment, we talk about people, we talk about behavior, we talk about religion, we talk about race, we talk about culture, we talk about all these different things because it ties in to the whole thing about sex.
Well, it does, It does.
Right. So it takes me to the question that was asked. Hi Raj, hope all is well. We are discussing this morning about fasting for Diwali. Some staff members have already, others soon to start. Of course, the topic of sex came as one girl said her pundit advised abstinent sex is deemed abstinent because sex is deemed unclean. Well, I'll tell you something about Hinduism, Sanatan Dharma. Sanatan Dharma is the root of Hinduism. But from that root, you have a trunk and you have branches. So the root and the trunk is Sanatan Dharma. Sanatan Dharma or Hinduism have about 2,000 different sects. But you never hear Hindus fighting one another. You never hear that anywhere. We don't fight one another because we know the path to salvation and understanding is whatever path you choose. So you could choose whatever you want to believe in Hinduism. You could choose to believe in God as a leaf. That is entirely up to you. By all means, go ahead, pray. That's why we even say that if you are atheist, you are Hindu. Because you believe in nothing.
Okay.
And that is part of the belief too. So there's no one book that you have to follow that tells you that this is the truth and the only truth. There's no such thing in Hinduism. There is no one truth and the only truth. There are many pathways to the truth. And they're all true.
Very interesting.
And that is very important that I say that. Now one will wonder, well, how am I talking about religion and tying it into sex? I will. Give me the chance and I will. Now, persons who say they're fasting now for Diwali are not fasting for Diwali. They're fasting because now it's Pitrapak. So they're fasting during this period for 14 days for a particular reason. And that is for worship for the ancestors, not of the ancestors.
Okay. Yes.
That is to ensure that the liberation of your ancestors, and as I have said many times, you as a human being are responsible for 2 ancestors back, and you're responsible for 2 generations forward. So when you do Pitra Puja or Shrad, you're doing it for the past. Those who have gone before you, any mistake they may have made, things that they may not have accomplished religiously or otherwise, you're doing something to clear their way. You take the responsibility to clear their way, to make things easy for their soul. And that is it.
Simple as that.
Simple as that. I see sometimes people foolishly make comments about Petra Pak and you can't be out after 6 and you can't do this. And Those are all false. And in Trinidad we say Peter Pak, but it's not Peter Pak. It's Pitra. Pitra means the past souls.
Yes.
And this is the time of the month for it. The 2 weeks dedicated to that. It ends on Friday. Now when Friday comes and it finishes, there's like a 24 hours buffer. And then you go into that period of Navratri, which is 9 days of fasting, prayers and puja to the Devatas and the Devis, which is the female aspect of God. There are 2 times in the year dedicated to the female aspect of God.
2 times.
March, April,
Yeah.
October, November. 2 times in the year. 9 nights of, it's called Navratri, 9 nights. That's what Navratri means. It's no big thing. Now is 9 in Hindi,
Yeah.
and Ratri is night. 9 nights. Full stop. That's all it means. So it's no big thing as somebody will say, well, now it's Navratam and Navratri, and it means 9 nights. That's all it means.
Well,
Full stop.
I learned something tonight that I never really.
Well, that's what I'm telling you. So, but the problem with Hindus is that they hear something and they go with it. Most Hindus, they hear something and they go with it without finding out what it is. Why am I doing this? What's the reason behind this? And if I accept the reason behind it, then I do it. I don't just do the rituals because it is a ritual that my grandfather used to do. There must be a reason behind it for me to do it. So if your pundit tells you that you're fasting to do puja, well, you abstain from sex because you want to be clean. Not that sex is dirty. Not that sex is dirty. If a pundit tells you sex is dirty, something's wrong with that pundit. Sex is not dirty. Sex is for creation. So sex is not dirty. And don't believe anything under the waist or under the navel is dirty. Sex is not dirty. But if you're fasting, and Hindus don't fast in the traditional way as other people, we abstain from pleasure, we abstain from certain foods, we abstain from alcohol, we abstain because that is our way of preparing ourselves for puja.
Okay. Yeah.
So if the Pandit tells you you're going to be doing Devi Puja and you need to fast, abstain from alcohol and meat and sex and whatnot 2 weeks prior to Navratri, that's what you're doing. You're preparing yourself for that time. It's like Lent. When you fast for that 40 days, isn't it for the culmination of the 40 days?
Well, yeah.
When Easter comes
When
on?
Easter, right.
Well, right. That is what it is. There are some people, some Christians give up sex during that period also. Some give up meat, some give up gambling, whatever they want to give up. And that's fine. Because that is your way of saying, Lord, I'm willing to give up this because I think I have the willpower to give up this and this only in reverence to you. You are my creator. So that's what it is. So, sex is not dirty, but in preparation of yourself, if you go and sit down to actually do the rituals, you want to be clean of mind. Now, I know, we discussed this already. People go to church and they cuss in their neighbor. People go to temple and they cuss in their neighbor. How does that make you a good person? You cannot be a good person simply by saying, I go to temple, or I go to church, or I go to mosque.
No.
You are not. You have to live by example. You be good to your neighbors.
As a matter of fact, you have to set examples. as
You
well.
set examples too. Because then it shows the kind of individual that you are.
Yeah.
I remember when I was building my house, I had a neighbor who gave me hell. Pure hell. And I literally mean hell. So much so that he got some thugs to come to mash up whatever we were doing.
It went that deep.
And that deep. And threatened me workmen and whatnot. That deep. I never told him a word. Not a single word. Because you know why? I knew when I finished building, he would be my neighbor. And I have to live good with my neighbor. So one day, he he was outside and his cousin was there, and his cousin was lying outside and talking to me because his cousin knows me well. And his cousin turned to him and said, "Why are you giving Raj so much problems?" Now everybody knew it. Everybody knew what he was doing. He said, "Why don't sell your blasted house to Raj and move out of here?" His own cousin told him that. And I look at his cousin, I just shake my head and I walk away. His cousin was pissed off because they knew what he was doing. But I continued to say hello to his wife, good morning, good afternoon, well.
Yeah.
So much so that when I first moved into the house, within the first month, I heard a knocking on my door. And when I opened my door, his wife was outside. And she said, "Excuse me, but you could help me with something?" I said, "Sure, what is it?" Her car went down into a drain. So when I saw what happened, because as I came out, I saw it in the drain. And I said, yeah, I said, "No problem." I said, "Well, where's your husband?" She said, "Inside sleeping, but if you only knew how, you'll call with me." I said, "Nah, no problem. I take out the car."
That is what they call living good.
Well, I live, eventually now, one day he come out with a bottle of whiskey and 2 glasses, and he say, "You'll take a drink with me?" I say, "Yeah, of course." He boiled on like Baji. Because he realized that he was being a total ass. Now, I'm your friend or your neighbor, but at a distance.
Yeah.
You invite me, I come over, say hello, I spend 5 minutes and I come back home. I'm not spending no long time, and we're not friends to that extent because I know what you give.
Right. If he had a different approach.
Well, it would have been different. But I still remain amicable.
Yeah.
Because I knew he would be my neighbor. It's 10 years now and he's still my neighbor. As a matter of fact, he was selling his house recently and he came to me and he said, he's selling his house. I said, "Good luck."
Anyway, folks, taking return, it's now 21 minutes to 10 o'clock. You are listening to Sexplosion on this Friday evening with sexologist Dr. Raj Ranganam of Total Image and the Adult Therapy Center, which is located at St. Augustine. We're going to take a break and we'll be right back with you. Stay tuned.
Trinidad and Tobago, we're ready, standing united and moving forward as one. We're one people, one nation, and all in this together.
We are all in this together.
Let's do this with Cheryl Wilson, Sundays from 12 noon to 2 p.m. on Power 102, empowering you.
Introducing Izzo. News travels fast. In today's fast-paced world, access to accurate, up-to-date information 24/7 is essential to making critical decisions in your life. Izzo is the Caribbean's newest and most innovative news source, giving you a Caribbean perspective on politics, crime, business, sport, entertainment, technology, and special investigative features. Izzo, IZZSO. Izzo, your information source, designed for your lifestyle. Download the Izzo app for iOS and Android devices, and visit our website at www.izzo.com.
Thank you. Very the short house, right?
No, he told him.
Oh, it's all. Some people just, and it doesn't matter how close you get to that person, that neighbor.
It will never be that.
As the first impression that they give you.
Jesus is the only one who can give you peace in the midst of today's storm.
How much you gave me?
29, I think.
Almost my age.
Power 102 FM presents Budget 2020. Budget 2020. Budget 2020. What will Budget 2020 mean for your life? And how you provide for your family in the coming financial year. Join us on Power 102 FM for Budget 2020. Informative interviews every morning on the Power Breakfast Show with the country's top economists and financial experts, including Colin Enel, David Abdullah,
Fulani Mututa,
Mariano Brown,
Diane Haddad,
Ravi Suryadevara, Daphne Bartlett, Dr. Roger Hussain, Joseph Remy, and many more. Budget 2020.
You have no redundant. You ever hear that redundant section? They have no redundant.
With our pre and post-budget
Shak man is we going left,
breaking down the numbers,
drum man going so the next one.
No coordination.
No coordination. No. He might blow in a different tune for all of them.
responses and reactions from stakeholders. What
You
is the
could
next
see
We could see that. What?
and your family?
You could
No,
see
Rita, what?
Yeah, you could see that. You could see it.
Live coverage.
If you didn't listen to them,
They're not giving you that
Citizen
feel.
discussion, the opposition leader's response,
You can
and
see.
coverage of the budget 2020.
that's that idem section. That's that rhythm section.
Eh?
That's that idem section.
You know, it's right.
Empowering you.
Welcome to that when it comes to nighttime radio, we are always one step ahead with a beautiful blend of programming. You are on the inside of Sexplosion on Power 102 FM. Sexologist Dr. Raj of Total Image and the Adult Therapy Center. Well, here's where we give you the opportunity to interact with Dr. Raj live here in studio, and it's very simple. All you've got to do is to give him a call at 222-8255, also at 612-8255. If you do decide that you want to send him a WhatsApp or a text message, you can also do that on his private mobile 740-1961. May I remind you once again that this program may contain material that is not suitable for children. Parental guidance are therefore advised. Yeah.
Yes, so getting back to the original topic where we were talking about in Sanatan Dharma or Hinduism, the broader sense of Hinduism, you have about 2,000 different ways to follow or to be a Hindu. 2,000 plus.
2,000.
But none fights the other. Like in Islam, you'll have one sect fighting the other sect. In Christianity, you have the very same thing and whatnot, because one wants to overpower the other one and wants to say, I'm more important than you, my belief system is better than your belief system, you come after me, nothing like that. There is no such thing.
A level playing field.
It's not a level playing field, it's that you allow each person or group of individuals to abide by whatever they want to abide by. So in the sexual way, you have those who follow Tantra. For example, another example. You have in India, you have the Thugis, but they are Muslims. They're all named Ali, but they pray to Mother Kali. So they're like Muslim Hindu. They pray to Kali, that form of Kali. And if you don't believe me, there's a movie called The Thugis. Just go and look at it with P.S. Brosnan and you'll see what it is all about. But that is a sect. And that's a belief system that developed over the years. Right here in Trinidad, you have about maybe 20 different belief systems in Hinduism in Trinidad. But you don't ever hear one fighting with the other. You don't hear that this one saying, I'm better than you, or your belief system less than my own, nothing like that. You're not allowed to. You leave everyone to practice what they want to practice. Right? So, in the sexual way, there are aspects of God or Godhead that is very sensual and sexual. For example, there is a whole teaching on Lord Shiva of the sexual aspect of him. So there are those who gravitate to that. They like sex, they like Lord Shiva, and they tie in one with the other like me. I tie in one with the other and I love that. So I'm a Shivite who study Tantra, who's into sex as a sexologist, who practice Sanatan Dharma, but my preference is Shivism.
Okay, yeah.
My son may not be so. His Devta might be a totally different Devta. And you're allowed to. Because when you're born, you remember we were talking about the importance of the day you're born? When you're born on a planet, a certain astrological sign. We all have that. Everybody cares that if they're Pisces or a Libra, which one better than the other. Yeah. In Hinduism, have nothing like that. You can't say one is better than the other. The sign under which you're born. I see people fighting that on social media all the time. Well, Libra is the best. When that time come around, oh God, all Libras will be back in. They're the best. When somebody asks me what is my planet, I just tell them the worst. That's the first thing I just say. The worst. And then they say, what is it? I say Taurus. I don't want you to tell me it's the worst. I'll tell you it's the worst. Because that is your belief that yours is better than mine. You see how it breaks down?
Yeah.
And tell me that is not true.
No, that's no, I understand. So
you'll see people reading their horoscope and saying, he had to be a Taurus the way he does behave.
Yes.
Anything negative.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anything negative, they'll say, yeah. They believe like a damn raging bull.
So in other words, in your statement there, you're shutting them up.
I shutting them up
down
before. I tell them,
you-
I hear what, I belong to the bulls.
So in,
I'm a
other
Taurus.
words, so in other words, what you're telling them...
Take
is
what
that-
you get after that.
Yeah, but in other words, what you're telling them at the beginning of the conversation, I know you better than me.
Yeah. I know because the first thing that will come to your mind, well, I'm a Pisces or a Virgo, I better than you. Well, look how stupid it is. The planet under which you're born, which rules and control you, you want that to be better than another person's planet that rules and control them.
Yeah.
That is how ridiculous and stupid it is. That's why when people talk about horoscope and matching horoscope and whatnot, and they say, all you have to get a patra read. And then you'll understand the meaning of that.
And there's some people too, they use horoscope and say, well, use a Taurus, I'm a Capricorn, I'm a better lover than you.
Yeah. No, but you hear it all the time. You see it, people have listing of the planets. All the horoscope, all the signs, and this one is a better lover, and this one is, I have sex for longer. Bull crap. That is not true. That is not true. If you believe that because of that you are better than another person, that's what you're saying, you know. That is a form of racism. If you want to break it down as a form of racism, because if you're born under a certain sign, you're better than another sign. Think about it. It's like if you're born in a particular race, you're better than other races. It's the very same thing when people go off on horoscope. So I just tell them off the bat, I belong to the wolves, Taurus. Deal with it. I have nothing to prove to you.
So you shut them up
One time.
before they even start.
One time. I put a spoke in your wheel.
Anyway, folks, taking our time, it's now 11 minutes before 10 o'clock, and just to remind you once again that you are on the inside of Sexplosion on Power 102 FM with the only sexologist, Dr. Raj of Total Image and the Adult Therapy Center. Just to remind you, our lines are open. If you would love to interact with him, feel free. 222-8255, also at 612-8255. If you do decide that you want to send him a WhatsApp or a text message, you can also do that on his private mobile at 740-1961. You can also send in your questions on our website at Power 102 FM. Yeah.
Now, I know good persons that belong to any one of the horoscope signs, and bad persons that belong to any one of the horoscope signs. So you can't tell me one is better than the other. So when persons say these things, they don't understand the planetary alignments and the moment that you're born and the significance of that. So the same thing with Hinduism, they teach you that no matter what, in one household, for example, you have 5 persons and they have 5 different devatas that they follow. Do you know that? How many persons out there know that?
No, I never thought about it.
Well, I'm telling you. So you think I could go to my daughter and say, hey, what? My devata better than your devata? You think I could do that? No. You can't.
No.
So if you choose the sexual aspect as an individual, as a human being, and you educate yourself in that philosophy and the things about that, you will understand the importance of being a person who follows that type of teaching. Now, there are certain aspects of God that if you're going to do the prayers and puja, you fast from everything because you want to be super clean. And that is like Hanuman, because he's what you call a brahmachari, which means he has no female aspect to him.
Okay, just hold your thought for a minute. We have a caller on the line. Thank you for holding, and welcome to Sexplosion. Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Actually, again, you were talking about Princess Town, and you say when Princess Town, I did not choose this far.
What you're breaking
What about Princess Town?
Princess Town, man, you have an office there.
Yes, I do have an office in Princess Town, Benintento Road. Yes.
What is the number?
The number there is 770-8700. 770 8700.
Okay, I'll get in touch with you.
No problem. I'll be there next Tuesday
What time?
from 10 till 12.
Okay.
Don't come 5 to 12, please.
But how much I money get the road?
Just, if you're coming from Princestown, just after the Catholic Church, the first building after the Catholic Church, you could walk from Princestown.
Okay.
All right.
Well, thanks a lot for calling. Yeah.
Yes, so that is the importance and significance of that. So the sexual part of it is dependent on the individual, or the religious ritual part of it is dependent on what you're doing. That's why, even in my capacity as my profession, I told you there are 2 Navratris, one March, April, and one October, November.
Right, yeah.
Do you know I used to fast, come and do program, and still take my pundit out for those 9 nights and 9 days? Sometimes I will drop him to do a yajna and come and do my program and go back and pick him up. Because he used to tell me, work is worship. Pick me up, do your sewa. Sewa is duty.
Yes.
I drop him off, make sure he's taken care of, and I come here and do my program. And when I done my program, I go and pick him up and we go home. And I did that for 9 days in the beginning of the year and 9 days at the end of the year. And I did that for many, many years. Because that was my promise to myself when I was a little boy. When I was a young man, I used to follow him. He used to come and stay home by us, and I used to follow him wherever he going. So my parents knew that would be my guru. When I turned 14, I was christened under him. So he became my guru, officially. When I got married, he was my guru and he became my wife guru. But I promised myself in my teenage year, the day I get a car, I will go and pick up my godfather to go and do puja. Not that I was going to do puja, because that was not my thing. I'm not versed in doing puja. But I will go and meet my godfather and go and do puja. So after years of doing that, one day he looked at me and he said, go outside and put up the jandi. So I'm like, yeah, well, what were the mantras? He said, don't you know it? I said, yeah. He said, well, go and say the mantra. I'll be inside. And then, but you know, after years, when I go to person's home and think I will fix the baby and do everything that I have to do and prepare everything for him so that his work became easy. Right? And at the end of it, that's what we do. All over Trinidad, the length and breadth of Trinidad, we did that for years. Because he was a very popular pundit and he had chelas, which is godchildren, all over the country. But I was still a sexologist. Not once did I change from being a sexologist. I still did my practice and we still discussed things of that nature whenever we were driving. So when persons condemn me or criticize me at that time, you know what he used to tell me? He said, once you have my blessing, don't follow anybody. He said, don't worry about anybody. They could say what they want. He used to tell me that they could say what they want. I am guiding you. So you do what you have to do.
And that's all
that's all you need.
Yeah. Yeah.
So no matter what persons may say in a negative connotation, I always had the backing of my Guruji. Always.
And that was the most important.
And to me, your Guru is your God. Because he's the representation of God on this earth. And that's how serious it is in Sanatan Dharma.
Okay.
Your first God is your parents, Baba.
Right, yeah.
And your representation of God is your Guru. Providing your Guru lived that life to be considered to be a representation of God. Because there are some Gurus out there who just be drinking rum. And they deserve to be a Guru. And I make no apologies for saying that. That is a fact. But it have those who live the life of a Guru, of a teacher, of a spiritualist that you want to follow. You don't follow them to the letter, where you go to them for advice and they help you with this. Right. So whenever I spoke about things of a sexual nature, the first time I was blown away by him. He came by us to do a puja, and before you do puja, I always sit with him, and as a little child I used to sit on his lap, but now I sit by his feet. And he said he was talking about something Friday night on the radio, and he made a very good point. But I have a book that explains it deeper, and I was blown away. I was shocked. I didn't know my Guru was listening to me, and that's how I knew. And that's when he introduced me to the books in Sanatana Dharma that teaches you about sex, which is many. It is not only the Kama Sutra, which I explained to a couple recently that how the Kama Sutra came about, because if you are a follower of Shiva, you will know that it came from Lord Shiva telling Mother Parvati about all the sexual acts and what you should be doing, or what can be done by a man or a woman. And it was overheard by his gatekeeper, which was Nandi. And Nandi gave that to mankind. Mankind means man and woman. So that's the extent of Sanatana Dharma and sex. It didn't start when people started to have sex and they started to write down about sex. It started since the inception of time, since time immemorial, since the beginning of the universe. At that time, that's when sex started. So sex cannot be nasty. Sex cannot be dirty. Sex is the most godliest thing it have. Their tantra mantra that you say, tantric mantra, sorry, that when you have an intercourse, you say these mantras and it takes you a higher plane in sex. Sometimes you forget. Sometimes you're so caught up in what is taking place, you forget it. And when you do remember, say, oh God, I miss out next time. See somebody want to pluck a chicken.
Anyway, folks, taking your time, it's just 1 minute before 10 o'clock. You are listening more now than ever. We are putting the fun back into nighttime radio again. You are on the inside of Sexplosion on Power 102 FM. The only sexologist in the Caribbean, Dr. Raj of Total Image and the Adult Therapy Center, which is located at St. Augustine, and there he treats all sexual dysfunctions. Well, tell you what we are going to do. We're going to take a break, and we'll be right back with you. Stay tuned.
All-inclusive Saturdays on Power 102 FM with the best music and personalities to power your day, all day on a Saturday. Sir Charles, Bass, DJ Maggie, Gaylan, and the ultimate DJ Shane. All-inclusive Saturdays on Power 102 FM. All-inclusive Saturdays from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. all day on a Saturday on Power 102, empowering you. This is Healthy Living for those that want a better state of life. Tuesdays from 2 p.m. with Stanley Augustus.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
Mr. Augustus and Aisha. Yes. It is a pleasure being here.
Healthy choices for better life.
Through that, yes.
Healthy Living, Tuesdays from 2 p.m. with Stanley Augustus, being brought to you in part by Himalaya. The best care comes from nature. Healthy Living on Power 102, empowering you. Trinidad and Tobago, we're ready, standing united and moving forward as one. We're one people, one nation, and all in this together.
We are all in this together.
Let's do this with Cheryl Wilson, Sundays from 12 noon to 2 p.m. on Power 102, empowering you.
Well, I can tell you that when it comes to nighttime radio, we are always one step ahead with a beautiful blend of educational programming right here on Power 102.1 FM, a station that's reliable and effective. Inside Sexplosion with sexologist Dr. Raj, and he's here ready to interact with you via the telephone. Feel free at 222-8255, also at 612-8255. For those of you who would love to send him a text or a WhatsApp of your question, you can also do that on his private mobile, that's 740-1961. You can also send in your messages on our website at Power 102 FM. Now, remind you once again that this program may contain material that is not suitable for children. Parental guidance are therefore advised. Yeah.
So I recall when I was now getting involved in Tantra. Here I was, a young Sanatanist Hindu who had my belief system inculcated in me from a very young age, because my grandparents were both pioneers in their villages. They both was responsible for doing things of a religious nature, helping to build the temple and all those things. So I came from that kind of background. So we learn all the mantras. We learn, well, not all, but we learn the mantras that were important to us. Because I remember, I'll give you a little story. One night, I had to go and get something from my aunt's shop, which was like about 20 buildings away from our house. But before you get to the buildings, there was a forested area. So in order to go to the shop, you have to go around to get to the shop. So my grandfather told me to go and get something, and I left and I went and get it, and I came back home. So my grandfather looked at me and he said, "Where you pass?" I said, "Where I does always pass." He said, "What do you mean? You can't go to your aunt's shop and come back here so quickly." I was maybe about 7, 8 years of age. I said, "Yeah, I passed through where I normally pass." He said, "Wait, the forest?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "You wasn't afraid?" I said, "No." He said, "You run through the forest, right?" I said, "Yeah." So I tell him how I passed, and I came out by the standpipe, and so he said, "Okay." Next day I see he called me and said, "Come, I want you to learn this mantra." And I said, "No matter where you are, what you're facing, just say this mantra and nothing will happen to you." Now, I didn't know the power of my grandfather until one day a gentleman came, and a group of guys came, and they were building our house. And one of the guys, I used to follow him, a red-skinned guy, follow him all over the place, Mr. Choki. So one day he looked at me, he said, "You know your grandfather well?" I said, "Yeah, that's my grandfather." He said, "You know him well." I said, "Let me tell you a story about him." He said, "Your grandfather, no present." He said, "My father used to work with your grandfather. And one day they were in the forest, in the cocoa estate, and a snake bit him. And my father was panicking. And your grandfather took a seed and said prayers and pulled out the poison." Well, my grandfather never said those things. But I was young enough for him to teach me that prayer. And it stayed with me till this day. Anytime I face any adversary, anything, I just say that prayer and that's it. But the power of that prayer, because he knew I used to run through the forest, no matter what they tell me, I will go through the forest. And for those of you from Sangre Grande, if you want to know where that forest is, it's where they build the new health center now. That entire area there was a forest. From where they build the health center, now from that drain all the way to the hospital. And the shop I'm talking about is opposite the hospital. The last shop at the end of the hospital wall, the last shop opposite, people still know it. That was my aunt's shop. And I used to run through that forest and get there. No fun. But that's not the point. The point was, I was brave already at 6 and 7 years of age. But then he taught me something that made me emboldened and made me feel more protected. Whether it was true or not, it didn't matter. You know. What mattered is that my grandfather taught me that. Yeah. Now, my best friend, my closest friend, my dearest friend, live 2 houses away from us. And he's older than I am by 3.5 years. And my grandfather wanted to teach him the prayers because he was older than me, with the hope that when he teach him the prayers, he will teach me it. All the different prayers and whatnot. But he wanted to lie and play the fool and run on woman. And to this day, he does say he regret not learning from my grandfather. Those things. He regret that. But he knew all those things. So here I was going to learn Tantra. Hear about Tantra, Lord Shiva, I'm going. And I walked into the sex room. And I'm hearing bhajans play. Now, we were taught that these things only do in a holy place, which is a temple or your home. And here I went into a sex room to be taught Tantra and Tantric sex. And the goddess who was going to do it, she's a Russian, playing bhajans. Now, think about it. Growing up in that environment, where these things are sacred, and spiritual, you're suddenly faced with it in a sexual forum.
I want you to continue that. It's very interesting. But what we are going to do is go back to the lines. Thank you for holding and welcome to Sexplosion. Hello? Hello?
I can't hear anything anyway. I think my thing is
I'm not hearing anything.
Yeah.
Or maybe the person for now. Just to remind you once again that you're listening to Sexplosion on Power 102 FM. Don't forget our lines are open at 222-8255. Also at 612-8255. Yeah.
Oh. So I was blown away by that, and I couldn't relate to sex and that environment because it was alien to me. Here I was, nice little Hindu boy, studying sex, of course, so that I make me too good. Walk into an environment where you're hearing bhajans and things that you'll be singing in temple, songs that you learn when you was a little boy going to temple, being played there loudly, and people making love to it. And then she told me the first thing that this is the ritual, this is the first ritual, and like, I have to take out my penis in with bhajan and thing playing? How am I going to do that? So you understand the dilemma of the mind.
Yeah.
Now the mind is a powerful thing, man. If you know how to overcome those things, you become more powerful. Obviously. But it wasn't easy to overcome. Now for the purists, that or if you belong to another religion, say that's haram. That ain't good. But for Tantra practitioner, that was normal. That is everyday thing. That is what it's supposed to have. It's like, okay, it's like the Rastafarian movement. You know, it came from the sadhus.
Yeah.
And smoking weed is part of the worship of Lord Shiva. So smoking weed is part of that worship. Because the weed, the significance of the marijuana leaf, it's very significant. As a matter of fact, Hindus are waiting for the day that they legalize weed, Because one of the greatest things that you could do is take a marijuana leaf and put it on the shivlingam.
But is that a common practice, using the marijuana leaf?
A common where it's legal. You go to India, they do that. They can't do that here.
Yeah. So they use a substitute here.
We use the bale pat.
Okay.
Same five, the 5 sprang.
So would it be fair to say, let's say a couple of years down the road, that
well, the day they legalize marijuana, all Hindus will have a marijuana plant in their yard, which they used to have long ago.
Okay.
They used to have that for that prayer purpose. And then they will put it in the chillam and smoke also, who want to smoke marijuana. I don't think if they legalize marijuana, I will smoke marijuana because I'm not a marijuana smoker. But I know the religious aspect of it, and I also know the medicinal part of it.
But it is part of the ritual.
And medicine. That 5 sprangs that you see on the marijuana leaves are very significant to Hindus. They may not say it. Maybe I'm the first person letting it out. But that's very significant for any Hindu who is a Shivite. If you watch the bale pat leaf, it has the same 5 sprangs.
Yes. Yeah.
There's a reason for that. So, the whole ritual aspect of it hit me like a ton of brick. I was like, okay, I was taught this, and I was taught singing this bhajan and whatnot, and here you are playing this thing in a sexual environment, and you're talking about doing certain things while this is being piped through the room, and the chanting of different mantras.
Okay, we have a call on the line before we lose them. Hello and welcome to Sexplosion. Good evening.
Hello? Hello?
Yeah. Raj. Mr. Bishop, I want on.
I'm not hearing what you're saying. Can you hear what he's saying? Huh?
Mr. Question.
I'm hearing something about a doll. If you're interested in getting a doll, we got a shipment of doll this week. In Total Image in St. Augustine.
What's the price?
It have all different prices. I tell you it from I ain't call it cheapest price, because if I call it cheapest price, that's what people come and look for.
Yeah. What you can do is
From $1,200 come down.
Yeah, I want a good one.
We have plenty good one because we got a whole shipment. Well, hopefully by the time you get there, it will still have.
What I would advise you to do, sir, is go to...
Yeah, go to the St. Augustine branch.
St. Augustine branch.
What about them? What about Princeton?
No, Princeton have some dolls, but not all. We got a shipment, but that is only for the Total Image in St. Augustine. I think 25 varieties there. No, they have some dolls there. You might get about 10 varieties there. But between Princeton and Debe, you'll get about 10 varieties. But if you want about 25 varieties, you go to Total Image in St. Augustine.
What time to come in?
You could go from 8 o'clock in the morning until 10 o'clock.
Okay, well, thanks a lot for calling. All right, that seems very popular. But anyhow, what we are going to do at 14 minutes after 10 o'clock, we're going to take a break and we'll be right back with you. Stay tuned.
Power 102 FM presents Budget 2020. Budget 2020. Budget 2020. What will Budget 2020 mean for your life? And how you provide for your family in the coming financial year. Join us on Power 102 FM for Budget 2020. Informative interviews every morning on the Power Breakfast Show with the country's top economists.
No, well, it has some persons remember they have a companion and what not.
Mariana Brown.
And they want to go with anybody because that woman or they're ripping you off. They have STD. They have a man on the side. They're looking to come back home and kill you, all kind of thing. So the safest thing to do is gather. We got it this week.
But we could discuss it
Analyzing the impact on you and taking your calls and live responses and reactions from stakeholders. What does the next year
have your
hold for you
attention,
and your family?
and I don't want to get back home for the wife and say, look,
with
you know,
coverage of the AmCham's
Junior didn't really enjoy the tea, you know you're
Watch them out there again,
and coverage of the Budget 2020
people like you.
Budget 2020 live on Power 102, empowering you.
Introducing Izzo. News travels fast.
When TNT playing
In
again?
today's
Monday?
fast-paced world,
Monday?
access
Yeah.
to accurate,
Trinidad?
up-to-date information 24/7 is essential to making critical decisions.
Monday, Wednesday playing here.
Izzo is the Caribbean's newest and most innovative news source, giving you a Caribbean perspective on politics, crime, business, sport, entertainment, technology, and special investigative features. Izzo, IZZSO. Izzo, your information source, designed for your lifestyle. Download the Izzo app for iOS and Android devices, and visit our website at www.izzo.com. Izzo, news travels fast.
The Reggae Ride, each and every Saturday from 6 to 10 p.m. on Power 102. The Reggae Ride, with the Empress, Gaylan, and the ultimate DJ Shane. Soon and good music. Join us for some soothing reggae music on a Saturday. Free reggae music. The Reggae Ride. From the old to the new, we play only the best. The Reggae Ride, Saturdays from 6 to 10 p.m. on Power 102, empowering you.
Knowledge and experience, this is what it's all about when you are on the inside of Sexplosion on Power 2 FM with Sexologist Dr. Raj of Total Image and the Adult Therapy Center. Just to remind you once again, if you would like to interact with Dr. Raj live here in studio, it's very simple. 222-8255, also at 612-8255. If you do decide, you know, some of you don't like hearing your voices on air, And just to remind you, we will not call your name, but if you want to send him a private message, you can also do that on his B-Mobile at 740-1961. Now remind you that due to the mature subject of this program, parental guidance are therefore advised. Yeah.
So here I was in this room filled with different women, different men, different size, shape, color, age. I think I was the youngest at the time. Having to get naked, well, which I didn't mind. I could do that in a drop of a hat. That was no big deal. But getting naked to mantras and tantric music in the background, which has something one is not synonymous with the other. So it creates a bit of confusion in your head. After a while, you remember that thing, the white robe?
Yeah.
Everybody in that. And you're sitting down there in a circle and you're talking about yourself. You're not touching anyone because there's space between each person. And then there's certain breathing exercise that you had to do. And then there was touching exercise that you had to do. And the time went by so quickly you didn't realize 2 maybe 3 hours went by. And you're now getting into the groove, so you don't want to leave. And you forget all about the music that is playing in the background and the things that were bothering your head that wasn't synonymous with sex. And it just fades into the background. And you're in a different mood. Because Tantra involves the 5 senses. So you're hearing music. You're smelling nice smells and scents and lighted candles and incense burning and all those things. You're tasting the air. You're feeling the vibrations from others. And when that time came for the touching part of it, you're already electrified. And that was the first beautiful part of it. You couldn't wait to go back there for the next session.
That sounds great.
And then you went back for the next session, and then you got into something a little different. And then persons were paired off. So a male was paired off with a female. And it went around like that, and it so happened, I think they ended up with 2 female being paired off because there were 2 female extras. And you were given different exercise to do. And this is way before you got into the practicing. This is conditioning your mind to the fact that this is what Tantra entails. It is the meditative aspect of it, because sometimes for 20 minutes you have to do certain type of meditation. You have to develop that oneness with self. So the sex part of it, eventually after the 5th session, you weren't thinking about sex. You was thinking about the beauty of Tantra. And you weren't thinking about being naked or just covered in a loincloth in the presence of these devatas and music and things that is conducive to religious practices. Because now it was all about getting in touch with you. And again, it comes back to what we are taught as young men and women in Sanatana Dharma, that you are your own God. You are God. At the end of the day, you are God. Because you have that spark of divinity within you. But
it takes different sessions, or it's just
many sessions
before reaching that.
Many sessions, because you have to graduate from one to the other. There are persons who fall back because they not get into the meditative state. There are individuals who overcome certain states faster than the other states.
Okay, yeah.
So it was, if you overcome it faster than someone else, you didn't have to wait to move on to the next stage. You could move on to the other stage with somebody who has moved on. So let's say 2 men move on, 2 men accomplish the 5th stage, while others are on the 4th stage. Yeah. They move on into the 5th stage. Because you have an initiator, you have somebody who could work with you, you have someone who has surpassed those stages and they're already at a different level, so they can work with you.
Okay.
Until you get to that part that is sexual, and the sex was blissful. It was not just sex, it wasn't penetration and you
Is it mind
Sex is mind?
No,
Mental?
yeah, mental.
It starts off that way, and it is physical, both physical and mental. And then they teach you different massage techniques and milking of the prostate and milking of the G-spot.
Okay.
Helping someone to have an orgasm or squirt. So all these different aspects of it came into play, and it wasn't just about going and participating in sex, but you had to go through the different stages, and now you're going through the different stages faster and faster and faster and faster until you eliminate 5 stages. So you move from stage 1 to stage 6, stage 6 to stage 12, and so you're going. Because there were stages that you could eliminate because you had already mastered it.
Okay, yeah.
And when you got to that stage where you could eliminate all the stages in between to move from this stage to that stage with simple rituals that you could do at home or at the temple or the place, the ashram, wherever you're doing this thing, it became easy. Sakai, as they say.
Wow, interesting. See, I learned some things new that I never knew before.
Well, I never talk about that before.
No, you never.
Never. There was no.
It didn't come.
No, it was never something that I was.
That you ventured into.
Yeah, that I wanted to talk about.
Yeah.
Until tonight.
Yeah, but very interesting though. Very, very interesting.
So you build yourself.
Yeah.
You strengthen yourself as you go along, and you reconnect with your spiritual self. Because there's always a reconnection with your spiritual self.
Interesting. Anyway, folks, taking our time, it's now 24 minutes after 10 o'clock. Sexplosion on Power 102 FM on this Friday evening with Sexologist Dr Raj of Total Image and the Adult Therapy Center, which is located in St. Augustine. Just to remind you once again, folks, that our lines are open if you would love chatting with Dr. Raj. 222-8255, also at 612-8255. If you do decide that you want to send him a text message or a WhatsApp message, you can also do that on his private mobile, which 740-1961. Nobody does better what we do best when it comes to sex education, taking it where it has never been before, exclusively on Power 102 FM, a station that's reliable and effective. Yeah.
Part of the art of seduction was the way you looked at someone or something, your tone of voice that you use. Because what we were taught is that over 90% of your conquest of something has to do with your tone of voice. How you say it, not what you say, how you say it, how you put it out. So the seduction part of it, because when you were doing that and you were talking to an opposite, a female, or even to a male, the art of seduction came from what you were saying and how you were saying it. So much so that after that, I remember someone was telling me that they like to hear me talk on the phone. Because it became automatic, that voice of seduction became automatic talking over the phone. I may have lost it now because I don't practice it. It's something I didn't practice for years, but I remember that part of it was all about the way you put your words and what you're saying and how you express yourself verbally, your voice, and your eyes. Flirtation with your eyes, being flirtatious. Because somebody asked me that question today, am I a flirtatious person? My answer is yes. Everybody knows me to be a flirtatious person. I flirt all the time. I flirt. I go to restaurants, I flirt. It's what I do. It's easy for me to flirt. Now, I could flirt for flirting's sake and I could flirt for seduction.
Okay. Which is basically a different level.
It is taking it to a different level. You're flirting actually to seduce the person.
Yeah.
There's flirtation generally, and there's flirtation for seduction.
Flirtation for friendliness.
No, yeah, for friendliness, just to be nice and coy and pleasant with the person. And then there's flirtation for seduction, where that person wants to get to know you.
But when you're doing this, Your eyes plays, as you rightfully mentioned, your eyes plays a very
Your eye and
important-
body language.
Right. Because, I mean, if you're doing it for just...
Think about it. If somebody walk in here and say, "Hey Junior, I love you, boy." "Hey Junior, I love you, boy."
That's a different level altogether.
Change the tone of your voice.
Mhm.
Once you change the tone of your voice, you portray to the person what you're feeling internally
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
and what you're putting out there to the person. I simply telling you that for telling you sake. I'm telling you that so that you will respond to me either by a tingling in your clitoris, a tingling in your breast, a tingling in your brain, or the need for you to know more from me, or want to hear more. That is the art of seduction. So the very same thing you could say to another individual, and it has no impact on them because of the way you say it to the other person.
Yes, it all depends on how you express yourself.
Well, it's not only how you express yourself, but it's the way you put it out there.
Mm-hmm.
But not only the words, but the eye contact that goes with it, your body language that goes with it. So all those things became automatic. It became automatic because here you are doing this thing repetitively over a period of time, and you're interacting with other females and other male, and and it becomes normal and natural. And there was no big deal to it. Eventually it just became, as I said, when I talk to somebody on the telephone, it was seductive over the phone.
Interesting. Well, you can tell me that we are the driving force behind sex education right here on Power 2.1 FM. And for those of you who are listening to Sexplosion for the very first time, Sexplosion is featured here on Power 2 FM every Thursday and Friday evening with the guru of sex education, Dr. Raj of Total Image and the Adult Therapy Center. You're listening to a program that deals with sex, love, and relationships exclusively right here on Power 102 FM.
Now, some of that art was lost when I became a businessman, when I started to train people, because your tone of voice had to train, because now you have to talk in a rough way to get people to do things differently.
Yes.
Because if you, now, think about sexual harassment now, and you have that art of seduction and talking, I might have been in jail.
Oh, yeah.
You-
Might be doing from 5 to 10. Yeah,
But the art of seduction is not simply what you're saying, is how you put it out, the packaging that you make. So it's like going to learn Tantra. You're walking into an environment where it's familiar to you because it is religious to you, but it is sexual to another person.
yeah.
Totally sexual. And here you are involved in these things where, first of all, you have to get rid of all your hang-ups. So you throw all your hang-ups aside, and you're dealing with something that is totally foreign to you, but you're embracing it more than you embrace the other side, and your spiritual awakening comes along with it.
Okay.
Many times, you have two persons that are married.
Uh-huh.
So what they'll tell you is that, in Sanatan Dharma, you have to go to the Pandit, you get your date, they check your patra and all those things, and you get married. Fine. But that's not the final thing. What happens after you do the rituals, you say the rite, you go on your honeymoon and you come back? Marriage now start. So it's a work in progress from that point onwards. Because you have no manual, you have no guidance from anybody except those that you observe. And if you come from a broken home, you'll think that's the norm. If you come from a home where there's horning, you'll think that's the norm.
Yes.
But your partner may not think that's the norm because they come from a different type of home. He and she have to make a unit now, and they have to work on that unit as they go along. But many times you're butting your head because you're trying, you're hoping to make things work, and your partner, him or her, is not willing to try. They go back to their old ways. They behave in a manner that you don't like. You're putting up with it. You remain in the marriage, but you're unhappy. That's why you have so many unhappy persons in marriage.
Yeah.
They are married.
Yes.
They are okay with being married. They love their spouse. No denying that. But the marriage is not making them happy. The marriage is not giving them fulfillment that they need. They are unable to get that fulfillment because what they want out of the marriage, they can't get it from their partner. Now, when the sexual side comes to that, there's resentment. You have a level of resentment to your partner, and because of that resentment, when him or her comes to you, you simply do the act for doing its sake. Not because you want to, you just want to get it over with.
You go through emotion.
You go through the motion. Now, you may not show them that, and that's where the art of deception comes in. You deceive your partner. That's why a lot of women fake an orgasm. That is the art of deception. Just as you have the art of seduction, you have the art of deception. And women are very trained in the art of deception because they train themselves from very young to deceive, sexually and otherwise. So what you're doing now for your partner, you're making him feel good that you're enjoying yourself, but you're faking an orgasm or you're faking a moan. And you're making him feel that he's the best lover out. But in your mind, he is not, because he, first of all, he don't fulfill what's supposed to be fulfilled as a husband. Secondly, because of the resentment you have for him, the bedroom is a war zone as opposed to a place for peace and love.
Yeah.
So what happens there? Things go down the drain. Now, you will want to remain in the relationship because nobody gets married to get divorced. And you'll want to make things work. You'll try your best to make things work. You'll say, well, maybe if I get pregnant, things will change. Don't ever think that if you get pregnant, things will change. It will not. It will not. That's getting pregnant for the wrong reason. Secondly, you'll say, well, here what? Let me find another person to take care of my sexual needs. At least I will get fulfillment in that way. As opposed to, or maybe the person might love me better than my wife or love me better than my husband. Even if it is for a brief moment. Because we want momentary gratification. That's why we like fast food. That's why we like instant stuff. We want gratification at the moment. And once we get the gratification at the moment, we cool.
Yeah.
So, how do you get gratification at the moment? You go and masturbate. You watch porn. You have a fling. And not a sexual fling. Just a fling with somebody. You talk nice. You feel good. You go home. You play with yourself and you're happy. Or you have a sexual liaison with someone. And you get your sexual satisfaction and then you move on. Now, that is not the only reason people have an additional partner. And let's face it, that's the reality of life. Many a times we are in a relationship, a marriage, where we are not happy with our spouse and their behavior. And because we are not happy with our spouse and their behavior, we seek something that is going to give us that gratification, give us that fulfillment. We need that. Even if it is for someone to tell us, hello, good morning, how are you? How are you feeling today? Because your husband or your wife may not ask you that in the morning.
That is where the affairs in the office comes in, eh?
Yes.
Because
you go because you're glad for somebody to tell you, sexy, how you looking so nice today?
Yeah.
Because you changing in front of your husband and your husband.
Yeah.
That's how you go to work?
Yeah. But you know when you get into the office,
somebody will tell you, compliment you on your clothes.
Yeah, hey, nice shirt or nice dress.
Something like that makes you feel good about yourself because there's an effort that you put into it. There's an effort that you put into it. And you want someone to recognize that effort by simply telling you, nice shirt. You're just sharp today, but you're looking real nice.
As a matter of fact, you would even program yourself and tell yourself, you know, I left home this morning and my spouse didn't mention something to me when I left, and look, I come into the office.
And I get that.
I got a compliment.
Or you get it from the cab driver or the taxi driver or somebody. And my father always say, a drop of water falling on a stone constantly will create an impression. So if every day that person tells you you look beautiful or you look handsome, one day you would look forward to that person telling you you look beautiful or handsome, so much so they'll say, can we go for lunch?
Yeah.
And that is a step in the next direction.
Yeah. That is where the grass starts growing on the stone.
Something like that.
Anyway, folks, just to remind you that you're on the inside of Sexplosion on Power 2.1 FM, bringing our time to 22 minutes before 11 o'clock, and it's always nice having your company. I'll tell you what we are going to do. We're going to take a break, and we'll be right back with you. Stay tuned.
Power 102 FM presents Budget 2020. Budget 2020. Budget 2020. What will Budget 2020 mean for your life? And how you provide for your family in the coming financial year. Join us on Power 102 FM for Budget 2020. Informative interviews.
Mr. Right, Mr. Naitano.
Breakfast show with the country's
Why give you enough tea?
financial experts.
I ain't hear call names at all.
David Abdullah,
Fulani Matuta,
Mariano Brown,
Diane Haddad,
Ravi Sayadavara, Barnett,
It's a
Dr.
bright
Walter
day.
Wilson,
But then
Joseph
again,
Lee, and
you could
many
always
more.
with
Budget
Raj
2020,
Ramana,
Budget
you could always
2020,
expect the
Monday, 7th
unexpected.
October, with our pre- and post-budget calls in studio breaking down the numbers,
That's
analyzing
why he's
the
a good
impact
brother.
on you, and taking your
It's right at bottom now.
And he's a good brother.
from stakeholders.
Come like I walking through Water Spring Wednesday, and a lady walk up to me and she said,
Budget 2020 on Power
what a
102.
handsome elderly gentleman. I turned to Keisha and said, she complimented me and insulted me in the same sentence. Tell me how old.
2020 debate. Budget 2020. Live on Power 102.
I said, thank you, madam.
Empowering you.
Introducing Izzo. News travels fast.
Izzo.
In today's fast-paced world, access to accurate, up-to-date information 24/7 is essential to making critical decisions in your life. Izzo is the Caribbean's newest and most innovative news source, giving you a Caribbean perspective on politics, crime, business, sport, entertainment, technology, and special investigative features. Izzo, IZZSO, Izzo, your information source, designed for your lifestyle. Download the Izzo app for iOS and Android devices, and visit our website at www.izzo.com. Izzo, news travels fast.
All-inclusive Saturdays on Power 102 FM with the best music and personalities to power your day, all day on a Saturday. Sir Charles, Bass, DJ Maggie, Gayland, and the ultimate DJ Shane. All-inclusive Saturdays on Power 102 FM.
Woo! My God. You see that shot? You see that shot? You know, he take off the man head, you know.
Empowering you.
That is a shot.
That is spin ball now. He's good now. Just had a loss of a week.
Ah, he can't lose it. You lose out. You see what's that shot? Then? Milliseconds. You know?
Well, I can tell you, it's all about bringing radio back to the people with a beautiful blend of sex education exclusively on your number one all-around station, Power 2 FM. Sexplosion with Sexologist Dr. Raj Ramnanan of Total Image and the Adult Therapy Center. Folks, don't forget our lines are open. If you would love chatting with Dr. Raj, feel free. 222-8255, also at 612-8255. If you do decide that you want to send him a WhatsApp or a text message, you can also do that on his private mobile 7401961.
So for the person who asked me the question about puja and fasting and whatnot, on behalf of my co-worker, thanks very much for sharing the explanation provided was simple and well received. The reason for doing certain things were definitely cleared up, and now we have an appreciation for doing the various prayers and puja. I see my godbrother is on, Pandit Bimal Maharaj. I wish he was on earlier so that he could have put in his 2 cents on the whole aspects of fasting and puja and all that, because, like I said, it is dependent on your belief, what you are doing, the reason behind it, and the guidance from your guru. And that's why I said the guru is very important. He will guide you based on his knowledge of you. Your guru will also know you. So he will know what to tell you, because he will know you to a point that he will know the things that you're capable of. Not everyone could do the vrat the way they're supposed to do it, which is the fasting.
Yes.
Not everyone is capable of doing that. So things could be adjusted for you if you so choose to do it. But you may not feel fulfilled doing it halfway when you sit down to do the prayers. So you will go through the motion and not do it. So the same thing with the sexual act. I tell you, when you're learning that tantra and you're hearing all these bhajans and tantric chants and whatnot around you for tantra, and you hear the name of Lord Shiva and all these things, it was confusing at first as a Hindu, because for the non-Hindus it was easy because it was just chanting, it was no big deal. But you growing up in a household where everything was religious, when it comes to those things, and going to an environment where it is no longer religious, it is sexual, it will definitely cause confusion in your brain. So once you get over that and understand your role and what you're supposed to be doing, you can now move forward. You could move in a way that is going to make things easier for you as a person. Now, this is where personal satisfaction comes in. You could go and pray. Wherever you choose to go and pray, under a tree, in a bedroom, in a nice little room, at church, by an altar, wherever. You could go anywhere and pray. But if you're uncomfortable with your surroundings, you think you're going to be okay with praying?
No.
You're not.
Of course not. Of course not.
So you create the surroundings for that. It's the same thing with sex. If you take sex to the base level, and we all take sex to the base level at some point in time, the animalistic level. We are ordinary mortals. So we take it to the base level, whether it be the first time you had sex, or sometime you had taken it to the base level. But then you would have evolved from that. You would have evolved from that so much so that sex becomes blissful. And in Tantra, they teach you that the whole aspect of sex and that union between you and your partner could take you to the point of devotion.
I'll tell you. Anyway, folks, taking our time 15 minutes before 11 o'clock, and when it comes to nighttime radio and sex education, we are always one step ahead with sexologists, the guru of sex education, Dr. Raj Ramnanan, our Total Image, and the Adult Therapy Center. Don't forget, folks, our lines are open, 222-8255, also at 612-8255.
Now, I don't know why Sean Brain is so corrupt that he hears only what he wants to hear. And he always does this. Good night, Dr. Raj. Are you saying that if a marriage is not working, going outside and getting your pleasures fulfilled is the right thing to do? I never said that. I said that's the reason some people do those things.
You said so, yes.
I never said it was the right thing to do. I am not here to judge right and wrong. Sean Peterson always judges what is right and wrong. And he don't know half the thing that is right. He can't even find a girlfriend. He always begging to get a girlfriend or afraid to get a girlfriend. He always judges. I don't. I give you the information. You decide what you want to do. That's my role. If the same thing comes back to sex. If you decide something that you were taught that is nasty or wrong, you like it when it comes to sex, and you decide to do it with your spouse, and you don't feel guilty about it, it's all well and good to do it. But if you feel guilty about it, why the hell are you doing it for?
Don't do it. No.
And I wouldn't tell you. I will give you the options and you choose what you want to do. So I never said that, Sean. So don't put words in my mouth. What about professional advice in a pastor? How does a pastor, how could a pastor, a priest, somebody in the spiritual realm advise you in the sexual realm? when there is a fine line between it. Now, there's a fine line between sexuality and spirituality also, I understand that. But won't you feel uncomfortable that your priest or your pastor or your pundit or your imam is advising you on sex and telling you what to do?
You would. You would feel uncomfortable.
Of course you would. They may advise you that here, what you want to have a child, you should be having intercourse, so. That's why I tell you, my guru used to say, Raj, you do the physical part, I will do the spiritual part. He used to always tell me that. He said, when couples come to you to want to have a child, you could send them by me to do the spiritual part, you do the physical part. Do your profession. So I do my profession. A lot of couples, I saw, when he died, I saw a lot of my patients at the cremation, you know. Because there were tremendous amount of couples that he helped to have children together with me. But at the end of the day, I am not having the physical act with you. I am guiding you as to what to do when it comes to that. And you feel more comfortable hearing it from me as opposed to the man whose feet you have to go and bow to. Yes. Or who you put up on a singhasan and you're looking up at him in reverence. You feel more comfortable, and that is what you want. Comfort as to, that is what one of the pundits told me, you know. He said, when we are on a singhasan, we cannot say the things that you say. Right? He said, we cannot. But you understand it well, so you go ahead and say what you say. He told me that. He said, you go ahead and say what you say. Because you don't give the wrong advice. Because although he was a pundit, he's also a lawyer. And he said, I know how many marriages break up. And I know how much you talk about that and holding it together. And he's the one who told me that people think that anything under the navel is nasty and anything above the navel is godly. The whole body is godly. He's the one who told me that. So the guidance didn't come from somebody who is not spiritual. The guidance came from someone who is spiritual. But what I speak about, people will feel more comfortable hearing it from me than hearing it from someone who stands there, that you have a certain amount of respect for in that realm, in the spiritual realm I'm talking about.
Oh, yes.
So, Sean, get it right. I don't think a pastor could advise you on sex.
No, I don't.
They could get into your business and mind your business.
But they will not express themselves to you.
No.
Anyway, folks, taking over time, it's now 10 minutes before 11 o'clock. Sexplosion on Power 102 FM with the guru of sex education on this Friday evening, Dr. Raj of Total Image and the Adult Therapy Center. We're going to take a break and we'll be right back with you. Stay tuned.
All-inclusive Saturdays on Power 102 FM with the best music and personalities to power your day, all day on a Saturday. Search on Space, Gayland, and
Where's that?
Ultimate DJ Show. All-inclusive Saturdays on Power 102 FM. All-inclusive Saturdays from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. all day on a Saturday on Power 102, empowering you. Power 102 FM presents Budget 2020. Budget 2020. Budget 2020. What will Budget 2020 mean for your life? And how you provide for your family in the coming financial year. Join us on Power 102 FM for Budget 2020. Informative interviews.
You know, I did that intentionally.
Did what?
Because I know when you don't think I could sing, you figure that hey,
No, I just want to shut you up so I give you tea.
this is what I tell you. That's why I made an effort to run too
Here,
fast.
drink some tea. Put something in your mouth.
No, that is the reason why.
Never go cinema and a child ball in and tell the woman, put that breast in that child mouth.
No, give that child a bottle.
Give that, well, they don't say that. They don't say it so nice.
No, give the child a bottle is the second, and the number 3 is get that your account.
Live responses and reactions from stakeholders.
Well, you went to a difference in the matter me. Well, I say, put that breast in that child mouth.
I went Ritz.
Nah, nobody ain't going to with that child. You're going to see blues and Ritz.
The opposition leader's response and coverage of the Budget 2020 debate. Budget 2020, live on Power 102. Empowering you.
Introducing ISO. News travels fast. In today's fast-paced world, access to accurate, up-to-date information 24/7 is essential to making critical decisions in your life. ISO is the Caribbean's newest and most innovative news source, giving you a Caribbean perspective on politics, crime, business, sport, entertainment, technology, and special investigative features. ISO, ICZSO. ISO, your information source designed for your lifestyle. Download the ISO app.
He is inside.
Devices. And visit our website at www.izzo.com. ISO. News travels fast.
I want to continue that we do practice what we preach right here on Power 2.1 FM, and it's all about bringing radio back to the people and putting the fun back into listening to radio once again, right here on Power 2 FM, your number one all around the station. You're all listening to Sexplosion with the guru of sex education, Dr. Raj of Total Image and the Adult Therapy Center.
We all have it within us to find the solution for things that are going wrong in our relationship. But sometimes we are not willing to talk, sometimes we are not willing to share, sometimes we're not willing to express our sentiments or feelings, sometimes we're not willing to even tell our partners how we feel. So we expect that the person is going to read our minds. They know what we want. No, express yourself. A lot of times, you know, I remember that first class, which I just described to you earlier. We started off with about, I think it was about 32 persons. And it boiled on like Baji, you know. At the end of the whole course, we ended up with about maybe, I think it was about 12 persons. From that 32.
People?
Yeah, because people saying you want to do something and having the ability to do it is two different things. The reason why you do something and the reason behind what it is about may be conflicting. You might want to do it because you decide that if I learn this thing, I could go and seduce any woman I want, or any man, I could become the best prostitute in the world or whatever. And that is not the reason behind learning that. Because there's a spiritual aspect to it. And if you don't embrace the spiritual aspect to it, you lose the essence of it.
Yeah.
So you're embracing one aspect of it, the sexual aspect and the physical aspect. And you're not embracing the other aspect, which is wider, broader, taller, more expansive than anything else, which is the spiritual aspect. How are you going to succeed? That's why sometimes I will find myself in a religious place with my godfather. And person will say, what are you doing here? I say, what? He's the man who really, I say. Sometimes he would call person. I remember once we were in this room, and normally he would be there before he starts his sermon. Well, I using the word sermon. And this lady came in to see him. So I got up to leave. He said, no, you sit down there. So when he finished talking to her, he asked her, he said, what radio station you listening to? So I knew where he was coming. And I started to smile. I said, Guru, she wouldn't tell you, you know. So she looked at me kind of funny. So she said 106 and different station. He said, you know that gentleman here? She looked at me funny again because she recognized the voice when I talk. So I knew she was listening to the program. He said, don't listen to 102. She said, hey, Dr. Raj. He said, don't go out and tell anybody that outside. Because I will spoil my head. He said, don't spread the word at Dr. Raj. He said, afterwards you could do that. But he was making joke. But the point is, there was maybe he understood that I understood the spiritual realm too, and I did not mix up one with the other.
So he didn't mind you sitting in?
Many times I was sitting with him. Many times I'll ask excuse just to pull away because I felt uncomfortable. Because I didn't feel I deserved to be that close. I felt that way. Because knowing what I was ashamed of what I'm doing. Don't get me wrong. It's just that I did not feel that I should be there doing that when 10 minutes I was doing this.
Okay, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So there was a bit of discomfort in me. Although I remember times dropping him off and he would say, you go and do your work and come back and pick me up. But he knew exactly what my work was because we'll discuss it many times while we were driving. The nature of my work, what I did, what I hear, what I see. Right? Not in details, but broadly.
Yeah, well, yeah.
And I mean, he was a very intelligent man, so he could pick sense from nonsense. I mean, we'll talk about cricket for hours. As a matter of fact, every morning, every single morning, I had to call him and give him the score of some cricket match taking place in the world. If there's a cricket match going on, I will have to call him and give him the score. Especially if West Indies or India played. And we had that rapport. So it was not only the spiritual side, but it was also the sporting side. Mm-hmm. It was also the sexual side. But what I'm saying is that you have it within you. But what are you doing with it? How are you grooming it? How are you nurturing it? What are you doing with that? So, like I said, sometimes somebody wants to do something, but the reason they want to do it is because of an excitement based on what they hear, see, or read. But not because it is what they want to attach themselves to. And that's another thing.
Very interesting. Anyway, folks, I tell you, this is what it's all about. When you are listening to Sexplosion of Power 2 FM, it's a program that's educational, it's informative, and of course entertaining. You know that, right? Right here on Power 2.1 FM. Sexologist Dr. Raj Randanan of Total Image and Being Adult Therapy Center. 222-8255, 612-8255. If you do decide you don't want to send him a WhatsApp or a text message, you can do that on his private mobile 740-1961.
So, if you want to do something for the wrong reason, you're not going to get what you should get out of it. You'll get something, but you will not get. And if you rush to do something that your mind is not prepared for, you will not absorb what you're supposed to absorb out of it. Because it is mental. So when you hear about sex and sexology and all these things, and you say, well, anybody could have sex. I always say that. Any two fools could have sex. And I use the word fool loosely to create the impression that you don't need an education to have sex. You don't need to have common sense to have sex. Sex is automatic. So anyone can have sex. Sex for fulfillment of yourself and your partner. Sex for reconnection of you and your partner. Sex for development of you and your partner is a different story. That's a totally different story. That's where the challenge comes in. That type of sex is different. A union between a husband and wife, or a man and a woman, or even a man and a man, or a woman and a woman. Remember, we had discussed some time back about the openness with men who are gay and how lightly they take sex. Sex is no big deal. But the sexual part of the union, if they are involved in a relationship, should strengthen a relationship. Don't you think that is what sex is? Not only to have children, but sex is also something supposed to strengthen your marriage. How many of us use sex as a means of strengthening of our marriage, as opposed to using it as a weapon? I will punish you, so I'm holding back sex from you.
Yeah.
Well, I'll reward you. It's your birthday coming up, boy. Oh, God, yeah. And you're even expecting you're going to get good sex because your birthday. That should never be like that. It should never be that I am looking forward to our anniversary so that we'll have good sex. then something is wrong with your relationship.
And then you have the other thing where you say, well, look, you're so accustomed to having sex at home. We will go to a hotel and spend a weekend to change that atmosphere.
And that's good. That's a good practice. That's something you should be doing. Because then you get a different atmosphere, right? And you do something different. You have to impulsively do things at time. You have to do things in a way that is different from the expectation of your partner. How many of us go home and tell our wives, or we go into bed with our wives and say, let me give you a massage tonight? We would say that with the hope that after done massage you'll get sex. Or many a times you could just offer to give a massage simply for giving a massage because I care for you, I know that you work hard, I realize that you're tired, let me give you a good massage.
Because that is such a program thing. Because even you mentioned that to your spouse, they would think he or she doing it because they want sex.
Right.
It is so.
No, but again, it depends on you and your partner and your relationship.
If you know, but of course you have to know one another,
right,
and your habits.
Correct. So I would make that offer to my wife, and she know, well, it is not because I want to have sex. If I want to have sex, we could initiate it many ways. If you get turned on, by all means, it could lead to sex, but it's not for that purpose.
No.
And it is not being done with the expectation that it leads to that. And she's not lying there thinking, oh God, I wonder when he go make a move with me. I wonder when he go look for. So she could be relaxed.
Yeah, because that is not expected.
Correct. But how many of us have that type of relationship? I'm not saying we don't. There are many who have that relationship. But how many times do we nurture it? Do we build on it? Do we strengthen it? Do we remember to do that? A nice foot massage. Just, caressing as opposed to fondling.
Yeah, because your spouse will figure to in another, at least he or she is doing this with not the expectation of getting sex.
Without the expectation. They're doing it wholeheartedly.
For the love.
They're doing it for love. They're doing it because they care about you. They're doing it because you're important to them or whatever.
Yeah.
And that's the reason why you're doing it. And that is what you have to nurture, and that is what you have to inculcate in your relationship. So getting back to when we started in this time of fasting and prayer and puja, especially for I don't know why. And somebody need to tell these people who have restaurant week that they always have restaurant week for the worst time for Hindus, when we don't go out to eat. Because we are fasting. Restaurant week always falls during Navratri time. I remember they have 14 days before that, those who are fasting for their Shraddha and Pitrapaka and what. So whoever is in charge of restaurant week in this country, please know. And the reason why I'm saying that, my wife and I goes to restaurant a lot. But we cannot take advantage of going to restaurant for restaurant week. Because I'm sure they don't get the level of business that they normally would get. Because last year they complained about that. Because it falls, whoever plans this plans it during the time of fasting for Hindus. And let's face it, the majority of people who spend money in this country are Hindus. And that's a fact. One more thing I want to say. How come we have 39% Indians in this country? 39% Indians, right? According to CSO. And only 2 Indians get medals. What happened? We deserve it? I want to know. I want to ask that question. Indians don't deserve medals? We haven't done anything to better this country, better society, that only 2 Indians could get medal? Out of 39% of the population? Who the hell does say about this thing? And there are people who don't deserve a medal getting medal. There are people singing lies and getting medal. Lies, and getting medal. So what happened to the Hindu population? What happened to the Indian population? We deserve it. Now, if it was the reverse, I would stand up against that too, Because if you are 37% of the population, which is Africans, not getting medals, I would stand up against that too. But 2 Indians? Kalpur brothers there deserve a medal for helping all them people. All them people during the flood they helped. And don't tell me they wasn't nominated. I'm not taking that. I'm not taking that at all.
Yes, the 2 brothers.
I'm not taking that at all. So you're telling me in this country that we suppose every creed and race find an equal place. Hindus and especially Indians and especially Hindu Indians can get a medal. They could keep the medal if they want. I don't want it. I could tell you that. But it's wrong, Junior, it's wrong. 39% of this population, and you cannot have that reflected in the medals that are given out to this country and persons who are in this country. I don't even read that anymore. I just take that and throw that away. I don't want to see that. A waste of time as far as I'm concerned. Waste of time. To me, it's a waste of time. And whoever is in charge of that, I tell you that's a waste of time. It does not reflect this country. It really doesn't.
So,
good night.
Anyway, folks, you've been listening to Sexplosion on Power 2.1 FM with Sexologist Dr. Raj Ramnanan of Total Image and the Adult Therapy Center, which is located out at St. Augustine.